something I haven't really talked about on this channel is that one of my secondary passions is car audio. And I figure I'd describe some of it since most people are still kind of foreign to everything about it. But, yeah, anyways. So, this is your basic, this is what you would need for proper car audio, a sound build. It's not really the correct terminology, but essentially, all of this is meant to divide certain frequency ranges, so that way it could sound better. Actually, it's not. That's not the. It's not correct terminology. Basically, it goes like this. So you got your subwoofer. That's gonna cover all of your lows. That's also why for car audio builds, you'll have the subwoofer facing the trunk because it'll produce a deeper tone. You want your subwoofer to cover all of your lows. So your subwoofer covers all of the lows, which is like 40, 80, 120 hertz. Your mid bass is meant to branch your subwoofer to your mid range. Now, most production cars have a speaker. I forget what it's called right now, but it essentially groups all of these into one. So, it's called it's like full range or something. I'll call it full range for now. But essentially, it's damn. Okay. Essentially, this groups all of these together into one singular speaker, which is on pretty much every production car, but it's not the ideal one. That's why you would want to separate your mid bass, mid range, and I'll explain the horn after. But yeah, from what I was saying before, your mid bass is there to bridge the subwoofer to your mid range, which your mid bass is going to be, well, the mid basses. And your mid range is going to be, it's going to be like your guitars, it's going to be, well, it's all the mids. So, like I said, guitars, some vocals, but mainly vocals are covered by the tweeters. But besides that, so mid range is your average instruments. Like, I already gave the example. I'm going off memory. Anyways, your horn, or the horn, which isn't commonly used in car audio builds. Usually you're going to find mid-bass, mid-range, and tweeters in car builds, and there's some other stuff about the subwoofer. But your horn is meant to bridge your mid-range to your tweeter. And your tweeter is going to be covering stuff. From what I remember, tweeters cover vocals. So it's going to be all of your highest ranges. I think, I could be wrong, but I think tweeters cover stuff like trumpets or, well, primarily vocals, but yeah, I mean, that's your highs. So yeah, your subs, they cover all of the lows, and your tweeters will cover all the highs. But yeah, factories will often combine all of these into a full range. Most of the time, tweeters will be, well, or at least I could also be wrong since my car came with tweeters, but I also got the premium audio package. But it still has one of these, well, per door. Besides that, your subwoofer, although it covers the lows, you got two different box type, or well, three per se. So the first type you got is a free air, which is essentially just the subwoofer. Maybe it'll be in a it could look like this. So you would have like a wall right there. This would usually be on like a deck lid or the rear deck of a car, but some people, they put it like right on top of their back seat. Essentially, it would look like a wall, and then you got the let's just go and say that that's the subwoofer. And then you got like the that, and then you got the magnet, and then yeah. So essentially, you got the cone, and then the drivers and stuff, but it's on a wall. Unlike you could also have a sealed box. So it essentially looks the same as that. It's a shoddy idea, but basically, this is going to be a box that's closed. So your subwoofer is going to be inside, and then it's going to be producing its own. There's no escaped air. I don't have one of these. I do have a free air subwoofer on my car. It's an 8-inch that came from factory. But what I do have is a ported box, which essentially looks something like. It essentially looks something like this. So then you take that, and then that. So this is just so you can get air out and in. So whenever that goes out and in, it'll push you around here, and then it'll go out through the port. You can stick your hand in the port if you're got a lower system. I've done it before just because I accidentally bought a weaker amp than I should have. But yeah, random fact. Anyways, for this, it produces all of its air inside, or the enclosed subwoofer, all of the air from the inside of the cone. Well, okay, that's kind of wrong. Basically, you got the head of the cone right here, which will push air out through there, but then you got all of this air, which is just like, it's essentially doing that. It's just rotating air in the box, which that'll use more power, that'll use less, since the ported box is more efficient. So yeah, but the sealed box is preferable for audio quality, since it'll cover more of a range of the sound. Or basically, I've seen two types. I've seen a ported box, or no, ported boxes are good for just overall loud, which is what I want. But sealed boxes, sealed and free air designs, those are better for sound quality, since they produce a better sound range, which is also why mine came with a free air subwoofer. But yeah, so basically if you want overall sound quality, you're gonna want either a free air subwoofer design, or a poured sealed box design for your air, or for the subwoofer. This one's self-explanatory. It basically just uses the trunk. I forgot to cover the free air, but it basically uses the trunk as your subwoofer box. So it's that. So yeah, sound quality, and overall loud, which is that's why you want, or wrong words. Basically, the mid bass from there, the mid bass covers the subwoofer. You can still use a mid bass with a ported box, but it's I don't think it's as difficult to get a mid bass to work with a ported box, but I know that sealed boxes, it may sound better. Besides that, you want to, from what I've researched, you want your mid bass to be in the kicks. Now that may make no sense, but essentially look at it like this. If you look underneath your dash, basically you're gonna have your pedals, right? Yeah, essentially, yeah, pedals. It works, and your kicks are gonna be the little corner right next to it. So then you got like your steering wheel, and then you got like your dash, which covers all this. So yeah, you got steering wheel, your dash, and then your kicks are the thing right underneath the dash, right next to your door. So that's the door. That's your kicks. That's where you want the mid bass to be, and usually you want it facing more towards the center console. So that's your center console. You're gonna want it to be facing like right here whenever you're hitting or you're gonna want it facing there so that way it'll hit in the center. It'll make it more free fall or it essentially just makes it sound like it's all around you. Same thing for the other side, but yeah, so you're gonna want your mid bass to be in the kicks, since that's where it sounds the best, and you're gonna want it to be sealed. Mid bass, you're gonna want to be sealed. I know that some people put mid bass in the door, right here. Usually they take out their full range and put it right there, but the issue of that is that it makes the door rattle, which doesn't sound too good in a audio quality. So the kicks don't rattle, and you can make an entire box for it. So yeah, that's what I guess would be the best result is to put your mid bass in the kicks. Now mid range can go either way. You can put mid range where the full range is, so in the door, or you could put it in a new area, which is the A pillar. So you put your mid range in the A pillar, and or damn, basically you good place to put mid range is either in the A pillar or in your door, since it doesn't rattle as much of the body panels. A big part of audio quality is not having body panels rattling, so that's why people do a lot of sound deadening. Besides that, so yeah, I don't know. I think some people will make like a box and insulate it. There's also insulation that goes into this. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into this, like water. No, not water. Basically, the way people will measure their boxes, like for the mid bass, is that they'll like create the box, but obviously there needs to be some depth to it. So the main way you measure that is by filling it with water all the way to the top, and then whatever amount of water you get into the box, that's the amount of airspace that you got inside of your box. And it's a little bit more complicated with the A pillars. So yeah, anyways, for the mid range, either the A pillar or the front door, those will usually work. A lot of people wouldn't, wrong words. Basically, whenever it comes to car audio as well, people won't really recommend, or some people don't recommend putting the speakers into your rear door, since the main reason why they have speakers in the rear door is so that way it can sound more like a concert. But many of them just say if your setup's good enough to where like, also same thing for this, face it towards the center of the car, and that's mainly just so you can get the full range. But that also drives into some of them recommend to not even like to just focus on the front. Don't focus on the rear doors or even the rear lid, or wrong thing. Rear deck, which is the platform, which I was talking about that for, but many people suggest not even focusing on the rear of the car at all, because if you got a good enough sound system, you can hear everything from the front around the entire car. So, yeah, but besides that, mid-range in the A pillar or the door. I'm going to skip the horn because the tweeter is basically the exact same thing. You're going to want your tweeter to be damn near right next to whatever you got. Wrong words. Basically, you're going to want your tweeter to be right next to your mid-range. But yeah, you're going to want your tweeter to be right next to your mid-range because it produces the best sound, from what I understand. Or if you're not able to get it right next to that, have it about, I think it was 7 inches from the speaker. So if you can't have the tweeters right next to the mid-range, then you're going to want it to be about 7 inches. Last I remember, you want it to be 7 inches, because I think it's if you have it somewhere in between there, it's going to sound not good. But I forget. But primarily, you're going to want the tweeter to be right next to the mid-range. I guess I should also mention that you can have the mid-range in the kicks, but I prefer from mid-bass. But yeah, basically I'm going to go on a short thing. Basically, the mid-bass could also be in the door. Many people do the mid-bass in the door, and then they have the mid-range and tweeters in the kicks. But that's all up to personal opinion. Besides that, so yeah, basically tweeters are simplistic. They cover all your highs. Just have them right next to your mid-range or like that, spaced out. But primarily, you're going to want your tweeters to be right on top of your mid-range for the best audio quality. And yeah, so like I said, subwoofer is mid-bass branches subwoofer to mid-range, and horn branches mid-range to tweeter. So where the horn comes in, I'm not entirely sure. Everything you see right here, I've seen on car audio builds, but I haven't really seen the horn. But I know that the horn is meant to bridge the mid-range to the tweeter. So presumably, if I had to guess, you would probably want the horn to be... Let's see here. So let's say we got a door. Basic door design. So let's say if you got the mid-range right here, you got your tweeter, I assume that you would want your horn to be right here. And essentially, a horn is what it sounds like. It looks like that, apparently. Or it looks like that, basically. Then you got your positive, negative, whatever. That's essentially what it looks like. It looks like a horn, but it acts as a speaker. And it's meant to bridge... Well, like I said, it's meant to bridge your mid-range to your tweeter. Yeah. So, basic horn knowledge. Okay, I guess I should say I'm not too familiar with horns. I just know that they connect the mid-range to the tweeter. So, but yeah, basically, this is where all the audio range comes from. Damn, I am yeah. So, yeah, basic recap, you got sealed, ported, and free air for the subwoofer. These two for audio quality, this for overall punch. And your mid-bass, you're going to want it to either be in the kicks or you could have it in the door, but primarily you'd want it in the kicks for better audio quality. For the mid-range, you're going to want it either in the A-pillar or in the door. For the horn, I think it could go anywhere. In fact, I'm sure that you could even put it on the rear shelf, like have the rear shelf, but then have a box, and then have the horn sticking out of it, just like that. Then for the tweeter, have the tweeter right next to the mid-range. Have it right next to the mid-range or have it spaced out. That's essentially what I really know. But yeah, so that's basically the way it goes up from subwoofer. Just keeps on going up in vocal range, and that should give you the best range of sound quality. Now there is something else. That's whenever it comes to overall sound, uh, usually bigger. Oh, man, how did I forget this? So for audio quality, you're going to want 12-inch subwoofers. I'm sure that nobody's actually gone to this point, but if you're dedicated, then yeah. So for audio quality, you're gonna want a 12-inch subwoofer. 12-inch subwoofers deliver the best amount of sound quality. They flow the best amount of sound, and usually for overall sound loudness, you're gonna want a 15, which is usually why you'll see like 2 to 4 15s on just overall loud sound systems. Like even 18s, but yeah, 12s still work. But essentially, 12 or less for audio quality, 12 or more for overall sound or sound range. Although you can also get away with the smaller subwoofers. I'm not going to deny that either. Mid bass can also be enlarged to get a little bit more sound, loudness. Same thing for the mid range. Same thing for the horn. The horn's interesting because it's meant to be loud. So I remember somebody said there was a way to make the horn louder, but I forget. And for tweeters, same thing. If you want overall loudness, you're going to want to make the tweeter bigger. But for sound range or sound quality, all these should be smaller. Or at least to right into the that you should size them to where they all work together with each other to make a good, clear note. Or to where they all work with each other and they don't try to fight each other. That's essentially what I'm getting to. But yeah, sound quality or car audio sound quality. Yeah, sorry.